Hey, got to run. Thank you, Chuck. Sam Abul Samad, car guy, coming up. Good morning, Vietnam. Hello, Samuel.
Hello, Leo.
Ooh, you are sitting in front of a Dodge Charger.
Dodge Charger Daytona SRT.
I want to hear that sound, the V8 sound coming out of that fine, powerful engine. Do you think I could find it?
Can you hear it now? Is that coming through?
No, are you playing it?
It should be playing.
Let me see if I can get it online here. Yeah, I got it.
That's why I had the video. I was hoping to be able to play it through for you.
Good old Dodge. What have you done this time?
This is some YouTuber is going to talk for an hour before he plays it. Here it is. Here it is. Let's see.
Hey, everyone, how's it going?
YouTubers, I hate you.
There we go. You should be able to hear it from my feed now.
Not at all. Not at all.
Doesn't exactly sound like a V8. It's a different kind of sound.
It's a fake V8, electric V8. Now, are they doing that?
It's the Banshee.
Oh,
That's the name of the powertrain. They call it the Banshee powertrain.
But it's electric.
Yeah.
But this is not the sound of the Banshee. This is the sound they recorded, right?
It's the sound they made up to represent the Banshee.
Here it is. Not that. Is that just something that? What is that?
Yeah. That's basically it idling.
It sounds like electronic music.
Well, then as it revs, you'll hear it.
It's the Fratsonic chambered exhaust system. Fratsonic? Did they?
Yeah.
They made that up.
They did. The logo, the Dodge logo, which is the old 3 Delta logo from 1960. Bring it back for this.
Oh, it's very electronic. That's interesting.
Yeah,
I guess they didn't want it to sound.
That logo on the front.
Yeah.
That's called the Fratzog, which is the designer made that name up.
Wow. Actually, this is the next, but it's a concept, right? It's not a.
It's a concept, but a production version's coming in 2024.
See,
it's going to be very much like this.
I kind of like the idea of a muscle car. You still get a muscle car, but it's electric muscles.
Well, and that's the whole point here. That's what I'm going to talk about.
Yeah. Fratzog. Yes, he said Fratzog.
Yep.
He did. He said it. Hello, Fratzog. Wow. All I could say is wow. Good. This will be fun to talk about, actually. There's so much automotive news now. As I go through my news stuff, I see all this automotive stuff now. Just it's really happening. But I was a little distressed when I saw that. What was it? Was it GM plans to make half of its vehicles electric by 2050? And I thought 2050.
No. 2030.
Somebody said 2050. I don't know who it was. And I thought, God, I'll be 96 years old.
No, every automaker is well ahead of that. Most of them are targeting at least 50% by 2030.
Yeah.
Some brands like Volvo, Jaguar are planning to be fully electric by 2030.
Yeah. Why your Seven Sages says EVs are not the future, they're a daydream, the reality of which is taking a rather long time to sink in, the denial and delusion. I wonder who's really in denial and delusion here.
He's wrong.
You just wait and see.
They are real.
Yeah.
I drive them all the time.
All we have now is a Bolt,
a
Mini, and a Mustang, all of which are EVs, battery electric vehicles. But I am deluded, clearly.
We all are, I guess.
And I have to say, not having gone to a gas station in a couple of years, the delusion is strong. You just wait and see. The vision is a daydream. Well, we'll see. It may well be that personal car ownership dies, but we'll see. Hey, it's time to talk cars. I'm doing it already with Sam Abul Samad. He's a principal researcher at Guidehouse Insights. This is his day job, but he also does the great podcast, Wheel Bearings. You'll find that at wheelbearings.media and wherever you get your podcasts. And today, Sammy is sitting in front of a very nice Dodge Charger. Hello, Sam.
Hello, Leo. How are you this week?
I'm great.
So this week is a big week in the car biz.
Yes.
Because right now, down in Monterey, south of you guys, the Pebble Beach Concours is going on. This has been Monterey Car Week, and there's been all kinds of fancy stuff unveiled there. And my podcast co-host, Roberto Baldwin's been down there.
Lucky dog.
For the last several days, hobnobbing with the fancy people.
The Concours d'Elegance.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I was back here in Detroit because yesterday was the annual Woodward Dream Cruise. And so this is this massive event that's been going on for many, many years on Woodward Avenue in Detroit.
Oh, that's fun.
People getting out their cool cars and interesting cars and sometimes not so interesting cars and just driving up and down Woodward Avenue.
But that's every Saturday in Petaluma.
Well, yeah, and it is most Saturdays on Woodward Avenue too.
Okay, good.
But this particular Saturday is when you have about 1 million people actually go out and
nice
sit along the sidewalks and everything all the way up and down, like about a 10-mile stretch of Woodward from Detroit up to Pontiac to watch these cars. And as part of this celebration of automotive culture, for a number of years, some of the automakers that are based here in Detroit have been doing some special events, some announcements, and Dodge, which has really transformed itself into a muscle car brand over the last decade, especially the last 5 or 6 years since they launched the supercharged Hellcat V8s. Has been doing some stuff. They do earlier in the week. They did something called Roadkill Nights at a local racetrack nearby, where they people come in and drag race. And earlier this week, they unveiled a couple of new products. They made several announcements. The first big announcement was that by the end of next year, the Hellcat V8 will be dead. The gas-powered Dodge Charger and Challenger will end production by the end of 2023. They followed that up the next night by introducing the Dodge Hornet, which is their new plug-in hybrid compact crossover. And then on Wednesday night, they showed off this car. And if you're watching the stream right now, you can see behind me the Dodge Charger Daytona SRT. Last year when Stellantis, which is the parent company of Dodge and 13 other brands, had their EV day to announce their roadmap for EVs, they talked about Dodge going electric and introducing an American e-muscle car in 2023.
E-muscle.
But
the most important part of a muscle car, because I used to own a Mustang GT 5.0, is how are you going to do that with electric?
Well, and this is one of the challenges with going electric, because with internal combustion engines, different engines have different sounds, different feels. You can create product differentiation by the way the engine sounds and vibrates and everything. And electric motors are all pretty much the same. So the guys at Dodge decided to have a little fun with this vehicle and with their upcoming vehicles. So, we know, we've seen from Tesla that an electric car can be just as much of a muscle car as anything with a big, giant supercharged
better.
V8.
Really? better.
And quicker, yeah.
Yeah,
quicker.
I had much better pickup on my electric Mustang Mach-E than I did on my GT 5.0.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you're going to have that in this car when the production model comes out in 2024. But then it wouldn't be any different from a Tesla in that respect.
Yeah,
so
Tesla's
came up with something different
when they get fast.
They created something that they have filed for a patent on called the Fratsonic chambered exhaust.
Wait, what? So the Fratsonic chambered exhaust. So can I play that for you?
Yeah. Well, here, let me try.
No, you can't. I have it. Let me play it for you. This sounds like a Marvel movie sound effect. That's actually going to come out of the car. It's playing through a speaker, though, right? It's not.
Sort of, yes. It's more than that. It's not just a speaker. As Dodge, the head of Dodge, described it to me. It's a transducer, which of course what a speaker is.
That's a speaker.
It's a speaker.
No, we call it the Fratsonic transducer, my
resonance
friend.
chamber.
It's an FST.
It goes into this resonance chamber in a series of pipes.
Oh, listen to the revs. But it's clear they're not trying to make it sound analog. I mean, you could record an analog.
Oh yeah,
engine revving.
And that's been done. Others have done that.
They want to make it sound a little electronic.
Yeah. And different automakers are doing different solutions for their sounds. I mean, you've got a little rumbling sound when you put your Mach-E into its unbridled mode. BMW hired Hans Zimmer, the movie composer, to do the soundtrack for their EVs.
Yeah, why not make it sound different?
Yeah, and so Dodge has come up with this system that looks at the accelerator pedal position, the gear position, the load, the speed, to try to match the sound to what the vehicle's doing. And it doesn't sound like a V8.
This is what it should sound like. A TIE fighter. Sorry.
So, but one of the interesting details, they said that this, at full acceleration, maximum acceleration, this thing will be able to go up to 126 decibels, the same sound level as the Hellcat.
That's ear damaging. No, stop it.
Yeah.
No,
it's the same sound level as the Hellcat.
Why would they do that?
I don't know.
That should be illegal.
Silly. Yeah,
that should be illegal. I know that some states in Florida they had to make it illegal. People were playing really loud sounds from their car. No, that's just noise pollution.
Yeah, and it won't be doing that all the time. I suspect what they're going to do is probably do some geofencing. So if you're at a drag strip.
Then it could do it.
Running at a drag strip. Yeah, it's probably not going to do that.
Are they going to have somebody in the chat room? Says Vegas Wayne says they should have a solenoid that rocks the car when they
don't give them any ideas. They probably will.
I think this is really just trying to convince the muscle car crowd that this is really a muscle car. And you know what? That's a short-term fool's errand. If I think in the long run, make it fast, make it look good, make it work well, and they'll come along. It's silly to have 120 decibel engine roar playing out of a speaker. That's crazy.
That volume is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
But it does sound really
Although
cool
that is how loud.
I heard it on Wednesday night, and it does sound
Yeah,
cool.
That's how loud my friend's Harley is.
Yeah.
I always know when he's arriving out front.
And it's the same volume as the current V8 Charger and Challenger with the Hellcat engine.
Wow.
So it's not any louder. So this is coming in 2024. This
user 6255 says, "Why don't they just put baseball cards in the spokes of the tires and then?" Because that's what it is. It's like a kid going, brum, 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 brum. Look at me, brum, brum, brum. Got big loud engine. Brum, 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 brum.
But if you want to hear more about this, later this afternoon when I put up the new episode of Wheel Bearings, I've got interviews with Tim Kaniskas, who is the head of Dodge, and Mickey Bly, who is the head of, he's head of global propulsion systems for Stellantis. And I've also got an interview in there with Jim Owens, who I talked to on Friday, who is the marketing and brand manager for Mustang and Shelby at Ford. And Ford's going to be unveiling the new
EV Shelby?
Mustang.
It's a Mustang
weeks,
body. Yeah. That's wheelbearings.media.
Yep.
Very nice. Sam Abul Samad. He's a guy who studies this for a living at Guidehouse Insights. He's also the podcaster at wheelbearings.media. Thank you, Sam. Leo Laporte.
Thank you, Leo.
I always, when I'm looking, there's so many EVs on the road out here now that you no longer can you tell. They don't look like martini olives anymore. They look like real cars. So every time I just look for tailpipes. No tailpipe, it's an EV. Sometimes that's the only way you could tell these days.
And sometimes not even then, because most of the hybrids usually hide the tailpipe behind the bumper cover in the back, so you can't even see the tailpipe on those either.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
Huh.
Would you like to take control of the radio for a few minutes?
Certainly.
Oh, thank you. I give it to you.
Eric Duckman One Brian says fake smoke out the tailpipe. No plans for that at this time, but they don't talk about future products, so I wouldn't rule it past them.
It could happen.
Look, they probably, I don't think they'll have smoke out the tailpipes, but they will in fact be able to generate a lot of smoke from tire spin at the drag strip when you stand on this thing.
That's true. That's a good point. Yes,
they haven't said exactly how much power this thing's going to have. But they said that it will be faster than the Hellcat in every spec. And the current Hellcat Red Eye is like 807 horsepower. But it also doesn't have all-wheel drive and doesn't have electric motors, so it doesn't have that instant torque. So this will certainly be quicker, even if it doesn't necessarily have as much power. But they've said that it's going to come out with 3 power levels from the factory, and then using things like software updates, you'll be able to upgrade to up to 6, at least 6 other power levels. So they're going to have a lot of options for customizing this thing. Wow. So Joe asks, Texas grid can't handle cold weather. How are they going to handle people switching to EVs? And this is a major issue. I
would submit that's a problem for Texas as opposed to EVs, but okay.
Well, it is a problem. It is particularly a problem for Texas.
Poorly run grid.
Yeah, and it's independent from the rest of the grid across the country.
Yeah, that's part of the problem.
Yeah, but there even in the rest of the country, we need some significant upgrades to the grid.
Absolutely.
We have enough power generation capability. What we, I had coffee last week with somebody from one of the utilities here in Michigan, and she told me, the challenge is to get the electrons to the right place at the right time. They've got plenty of electrons. They have to distribute them better. And so we're seeing a variety of things going on, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in the next segment if you want.
Yeah, good. Stick around. Awesome.
Sure.
We'll talk in a bit. Thank you, Sam.
But to address one of the things that's been going on here in the chat about the grid and how that's going to be handled, as I mentioned in the last break, I think there's enough power generating capacity in the U.S. to support our needs. That's not the issue. The issue we have is the distribution, the grid that gets the power from power stations, from dams, from solar farms, wind farms, nuclear plants to the end users. That's what has not necessarily kept up. And in some places it's worse than others. Texas has a problem because they decided that they didn't want to be part of the national grid and be able to transmit power in and out of Texas. If they have a problem, locally, they didn't want to be able to get power from Oklahoma or Arkansas. And they're going to have to deal with that problem. But what was also mentioned was in California, for example, where there have been a lot of problems particularly over the last decade with with rolling blackouts, when they have periods of peak demand, when it gets very hot and you have, especially in the middle of the day, you have your peak power demand, and the system can't keep up, the grid can't keep up with sending that power. And in some cases that has led to power lines and transformers going down and causing fires, which just makes the problem worse. And so PG&E, which is your local utility, they're Leo, they are doing a test program right now with General Motors and with Ford, and it's a pilot right now. But by the end of the year, they're doing lab testing right now. By the end of the year, they're going to start inviting customers in to participate in this, using what's known as a demand response system with bidirectional charging. So we've talked previously about the F-150 Lightning, which has a home power backup capability. It's got bidirectional charging. So you can put power in, when you plug in an F-150 Lightning, you can put power into it to charge the battery. Or when you need that power, you can take it back out again. And the Hyundai Ioniq 5 and Kia EV6 also have this vehicle to load capability to take power out. Not at as high a level as the Ford, but they're doing this. GM's going to be adding this into their EVs. And the Ford system, the way it works is it's all controlled locally. So if you get a Lightning and you get the home integration kit, if it detects your power going out to your home, it flips the transfer switch to disconnect your home from the grid and automatically starts pulling power from the battery in your truck down to a certain level. You can set a minimum threshold. I think it defaults to about 30%. So you can have enough power to go somewhere else and charge it up if you need to. With the typical amount of power consumption in a typical American home, which is I think it's like less. It's enough. It's enough that you can power a typical American home without shutting anything off for about 3 days. And if you start turning off unessential things, you can go up to 10 days off the battery and the Lightning. What PG&E is doing with GM and Ford is they're controlling this remotely, so that for customers that opt in, if PG&E detects that their demand is getting up close to the limits of what they can transmit, then what they can do is send a signal out to vehicles that are plugged in and have them automatically switch and take those houses temporarily off the grid for an hour or two and power those homes off the EV that's plugged in. And then what that does is it brings down the load, brings down the demand on the grid so that they can keep up and they can actually potentially avoid these rolling blackouts and brownouts. And then as the demand level goes down again, then they can bring those homes back online and charge those vehicles back up again. So this is one of the potential ways that they're looking at. There's a lot of potential solutions to this. Obviously, more major overhaul of the grid is a key component of this as well, and that's something that we're going to be seeing a lot more of over the next several years. And some of that, the infrastructure bill that was passed earlier this year includes some funding to support that. So I think that, and also when you look at the number of EVs that we're going to have on the road in the next decade, I was mentioning something in the chat about this. We have. I was just looking at a database the other day. There's currently over 290 million registered vehicles in the United States. When even in a good year, when we don't have supply chain problems, we've never sold more than about 17.5 million new vehicles a year. So at 17 million vehicles a year, to replace the entire vehicle fleet is going to take several decades. It's going to be a long time before we don't have any gas vehicles left on the road. We don't have enough capacity to build batteries, and we don't have the materials to build the batteries, to turn them over that much faster. And, frankly, people cannot afford to buy all new vehicles, in the next 10 years. So even with the forecast, at my company, Guidehouse Insights, where one of the things we do is forecasting of demand for technologies. Our forecast is, in 2030, about 35% of new vehicles sold are going to be EVs. It might be a little higher than that. But even at that, by 2030, less than 10% of the vehicles on the road in the U.S. will be electric. So it's not going to be, that big of a load. We actually have some time to make these grid upgrades, and in combination with doing things like demand response and bidirectional charging, I think we should be fine, in terms of being able to support the number of EVs that are actually going to be built and sold in that time frame.
Mr. Sam Abul Samad, well spoken. Well done.
I just don't want people to panic.
Don't panic. Have a great week.
You too.
I will see you next time.
See ya.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.
Bye. Well, hey. How are you today, Leo Laporte here?